Could that be part of the reason why work is slow?
It may be. It might be because, I mean, I am not a security expert, but I know that before the elections, we were able to recover, if not all, the trouble spots. People, as we speak, people still live in Chibok. People live there, but of course, activities is not like what it used to be. So, but for us, basically is, even if there are issues with security in terms of reconstruction, people, I mean, the government should be able to come out and say it. For example, the governor of Borno State says he spends about 600 million monthly to feed the IDPs, and that currently, the current federal government have taken that responsibility off him. So now NEMA is the one feeding the IDP, the 22 IDP camps in Maiduguri. So that money is freed. So the supposed 600 million that was spent consistently per month to feed the IDPs have been freed up. So they have more money now to be able to rebuild houses and rebuild schools. So for us, we desire that this thing starts in earnest. But you see, it's not just the Safe School Initiative we're talking about. We're talking about Victim Support Fund. The Victim Support Fund is also meant to cater for a particular, need of the IDPs. What is going on with it? So for us...
Okay, yours is an independent group that's working with internally displaced persons.
Yes.
So you do not have, you're not like affiliated to the UN or NEMA, or no, you're just independent.
We're independent, but you see, under normal circumstances, if you recall the last time, I think it was on the news at 10 when we talked about the coordination, which yes, we've also been able to speak to government directly and we've explained this and they understand what we're talking about. If you do not have a concerted coordination within, of all players, both state actors and non-state actors like us, you continue to throw things, haphazardly. And at the end of the day, even if there is impact, you can't measure it. So you must be able to create a system, create a scientific system that will be able to measure what goes where and to who. Demographic delineation of the IDPs, possibly numbering, in some places is being done. So with that, you can measure what goes where and by whom and by what. That's why UN uses the cluster. Because the essence of the cluster is that UNICEF handles nutrition 100%.
I was going to ask you, that was a build-up to a question I was going to ask. You talked about numbers about 3-point-something million.
Yes.
Now, they're disparaging figures. Some say it's 1.8 million, some say it's over 3 million. Now, we do know that they are spread across the country. For instance, yesterday night, a friend calls to say he knows a family that is taking care of 60 internally displaced children in the Southwest. How much of documentation is there for all of this internally displaced persons?
Now, that is where we have done quite some work. If you recall, I believe we shared it online. Our organization, Social Welfare Network Initiative, in partnership with NOI Polls and Africa Nigeria, carried out an assessment. And there is a report. That is a credible report. And that report is being used. The United Nations Commission for Human Rights, for humanitarian, Commission for Refugee, they also have some reports. If you compare the two reports from us and them, it's almost the same. Now, like I said, the UN is concentrating, their efforts with the hard-hit areas as the Northeast. Now, what we have begun to discuss with the government is how to take care of those scattered around the Federation. Yes, the person that gave you that information is not lying. In Edo State, you have about 1,000 plus children in one particular location. Channel has also carried such news. We have that report. We have kids in Lagos here, in Taraba, Bauchi, Gombe, Plateau, Benue, Kaduna, in Kanu. They are all over the place. In the FCT, you have about 43,000 of them. These are the people we were able to reach in Nasarawa State. They are all over the place. So for us, we believe that there is need for us to create that coordination. And that's what we are working on now, to ensure that that coordination takes place. Even if the coordination is only for the NGOs working within and around. Because most of the local NGOs work outside the Northeast. reason, even from the reports of the OCHA office, says the reason is simply because there's no funding. They are having issues with funding at the level of the UN. What about us who are local? So NEMA handles the issue of feeding mostly, and of course, once in a while, humanitarian relief.
Okay, let me ask, so much focus on IDPs from the Northeast because of the state of insecurity and all of that. But there are some other IDPs too.
Yes.
People who have had to lose their homes because of flooding. Fire. For instance, there's the people, the Bakassi people from the Bakassi Peninsula. All these people are internally displaced. How much is being done to also absorb these people? The camps are already overflowing. How much help is actually, or aid rather, is actually cutting across to all the IDPs in Nigeria?
Less than 0.2%, if I may say. Less than 0.2%, though we've not measured completely. But the truth is, with what you have, you can say that, because concentration, like I said before, has been mainly on the IDPs based on insurgency. So NEMA's concentration equally has been IDPs in the camp. That's why you have disparaging figures. Because the figures NEMA will always bring out is people they've been able to register within the camps. So for us, those of us who are outside, who are working outside the camps, we have a lot of settlements in the FCT because there's no camp created. So when we talk of camps are places designated by government for IDPs to stay. There are places that, and they are limited in number. So the people who are displaced by ethno-religious clashes, cattle rustling, flood, fire, like you have in Benue Plateau, like you have in Bakassi, Cross River. These are all IDPs, and you cannot separate them from each other. Yes. They also have same rights like the ones displaced by. Yes. So that's what we are trying to say now, that there is. So for us, the coordination, which we are trying to birth, so that every player, everyone in the field, wherever you are, can come in and get into the cluster so that the government can say, okay, yes, these are the number of IDPs accurate based on assessment or figures collated from every player in different areas of the federation.
So what would you say would be, in winding down, what would you say would be the best way to absorb these people? Because we have the issue of data collation challenges. What can the government do to enhance?
What can
individuals
do? Yes, I was also going to come
individual there. Nigerians.
I think from the conversation that we've had in recent weeks, I think the government have begun to, take the right step by they've identified and accepted the fact that there is need for that coordination. So that is ongoing. Now, and also the truth is, government can only do this much because of limited funds and a whole lot of other stuff.
Much to attend to.
But individuals can do a lot. The churches haven't done much. That's the truth. Churches have not done much. The mosques have not done much. If they've done any, these various organizations I mentioned, multinationals can do a whole lot. These people make a lot of money, and a small fraction can go a long way. Banks declare a lot of profit. This is time for that corporate social responsibility, because there is serious need in this country right now, especially with the IDPs, as a result of these various vices that we're talking about.
All right, thank you very much. We'll be speaking to Emmanuel Olisemeka, who is an aid worker. Thank you so much for speaking with us. We hope that things turn out for the better, especially for the internally displaced persons.
Definitely.
Sunrise, we'll take a moment. We'll come back for the home stretch. Please don't go away.